Betrayal exposed, Kristina Corinthos Davis discovers the truth that shatters her family. Kristina Corinthos Davis never expected the truth to come from a place so quiet. It wasn't a heated argument. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation. It was a single overheard conversation that changed everything. Late one evening at the Metro Court, Kristina stepped into the hallway outside the private lounge, hoping to clear her head after a tense day. Voices drifted through the slightly open door. She recognized one immediately, her mother's. Calm, controlled, too controlled. Then came the name that made Kristina freeze. Her mother spoke softly, almost protectively, explaining how the situation had been handled and how certain details had been kept from coming out. The words weren't loud, but they were deliberate, intentional. Kristina's heart pounded as the pieces fell into place. This wasn't about protecting the family anymore. This was about hiding the truth, and Willow was at the center of it. Kristina backed away before she could be noticed, her hands trembling. For months, something had felt wrong. Strained silences, conversations that stopped when she entered the room, decisions made without explanation. Now she understood why. Willow hadn't just made a mistake, she had crossed a line, and Kristina's own mother had stepped in to make sure no one ever found out. The betrayal cut deeper than Kristina could have imagined, not just because of Willow's actions, but because of who chose to protect her. Her mother had always preached honesty, accountability, family above all else. But now Kristina saw the truth clearly. Those rules had exceptions. The next morning, Kristina watched her mother from across the room, searching her face for guilt. There was none, just composure, confidence, control. That hurt the most. Kristina wanted to scream. She wanted answers. She wanted an apology that might make sense of everything. Instead, she stayed silent. She needed proof. She needed the full story, and she needed to hear it from Willow herself. When Kristina finally confronted Willow, it wasn't in public. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet. They sat across from each other, tension thick in the air. Kristina didn't accuse. She didn't raise her voice. She simply said one sentence. "I know what you did, and I know who covered it up." Willow's face drained of color. That was all the confirmation Kristina needed. Willow tried to explain. She spoke about fear, about desperation, about choices made in moments of panic. She admitted that she never meant for things to go so far, and that when the truth threatened to surface, she accepted the protection offered. She didn't ask for forgiveness. She didn't deny it either. Kristina listened, numb, realizing that the betrayal wasn't sudden. It had been building for months, hidden behind smiles and reassurances. What hurt Kristina most wasn't Willow's confession. It was knowing her mother had made a decision without trusting her with the truth. By hiding Willow's actions, her mother had chosen control over honesty, and that choice shattered something fragile. Kristina finally confronted her mother that night. This time there was no silence. "Why didn't you tell me?" Kristina demanded, her voice breaking. "You didn't just hide the truth. You took away my right to choose how I felt about it." Her mother defended herself, insisting she was protecting the family, preventing fallout, keeping everyone safe from consequences that could spiral out of control. But Kristina wasn't listening anymore. Protection without truth wasn't love. It was betrayal. Word began to spread, not the full story, but whispers. People sensed tension. Alliances shifted. Trust eroded quietly, dangerously. Kristina pulled away from both her mother and Willow, leaving them stunned by her sudden distance. For the first time, she wasn't willing to accept explanations. She needed time and space. Meanwhile, her mother realized too late that the secret she buried did more damage than the truth ever could. Willow, once protected, now lived in fear that everything would still come out, because secrets in Port Charles never stay buried forever. As Kristina stood alone on the pier one night, she made a decision. She wouldn't expose the truth yet, but she wouldn't protect it either. If the truth came out, it would do so on its own terms, and when it did, everyone involved would have to face the consequences. Kristina wasn't the same person she had been before. She was stronger, wiser, and no longer willing to be kept in the dark. The betrayal had changed her, and poor Charles would feel the fallout.
Kristina thought distance would bring clarity. She was wrong. The more she pulled away, the louder the silence became. Port Charles had a way of sensing cracks before they fully formed, and whispers followed Kristina everywhere she went. At the coffee shop, conversations stopped mid-sentence. At the hospital, familiar faces watched her too carefully. People knew something was wrong. They just didn't know what. For the first time in years, Kristina's mother felt something dangerously unfamiliar. Fear. Not fear of exposure, fear of losing her daughter. Kristina's withdrawal wasn't dramatic, it was worse. She stopped calling, stopped asking questions, stopped confiding. Every interaction felt formal, distant, measured, and no amount of justification could fix that. Late one night, her mother stared at an old family photo, realizing that protecting the truth had come at a cost she hadn't calculated. She had assumed Kristina would understand someday, but understanding required honesty, and that was the one thing she hadn't offered. Meanwhile, Willow lived on edge. Every knock at the door felt like judgment. Every message felt like a threat. The protection she once clung to now felt like a cage. Kristina's silence terrified her more than anger ever could. Willow replayed their conversation again and again, wishing she had spoken sooner, confessed earlier, chosen differently. But regret didn't change the present, and the present was closing in. She began to notice small things. A missed call returned too late, a document that wasn't where she left it, a conversation that ended too abruptly. Someone else was getting close to the truth. Kristina didn't intend to involve anyone else, but fate had other plans. A chance conversation turned into a quiet alliance when someone noticed Kristina's unease and asked the one question no one else dared to ask. Do you want the truth, or do you want peace? Kristina didn't answer right away, because she wanted both, and she was realizing she couldn't have them at the same time. This unlikely ally had pieces of the puzzle Kristina didn't even know existed. Old timelines, overlooked details, a version of events that didn't match what she'd been told. The truth wasn't just hidden, it had been rewritten. As Kristina dug deeper, she discovered something unsettling. The secret wasn't just about Willow's misstep. It had influenced decisions that affected multiple lives, choices that changed outcomes, directed blame, and quietly reshaped relationships. This wasn't a single mistake anymore. It was a chain reaction. Kristina realized that staying silent meant becoming part of the cover-up. Speaking out meant tearing her family apart. And for the first time, she questioned whether loyalty should ever come before integrity. Willow received a message she couldn't ignore. Just 5 words. No sender, no explanation. Her hands shook as she deleted it, then froze. Deleting it didn't make it disappear. Someone was moving pieces into place, and Willow wasn't controlling the board anymore. She went to Kristina, desperate, pleading not for forgiveness, but for mercy. Kristina listened, her face unreadable. I didn't start this, but I won't stop it either. That was the moment she knew. The protection was gone. When Kristina's mother finally confronted her again, emotions erupted. I did this for you, for this family. Kristina shook her head. You did this instead of trusting me. That truth landed harder than any accusation.
Kristina made her position clear. She wouldn't lie, wouldn't interfere, and wouldn't shield anyone from consequences anymore. Whatever happened next would happen without her silence. As tension spread through Port Charles, alliances shifted. People sensed a reckoning was near. Secrets that slept for months stirred awake. And Kristina stood at the center, not as a victim, not as a villain, but as the one person who could let the truth fall where it may. The calm was ending. The fallout was inevitable. And when everything finally came to light, no one, not Willow, not her mother, not Kristina herself, would be unchanged. Will the truth break the family beyond repair? Who is the mysterious figure pushing the secret into the open? And when the final revelation hits Port Charles, who will take the blame? The next chapter won't be quiet. It will be explosive.